Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome to the Kathie J Show. You know that my nickname in Denver is the Doggy Avenger because I love dogs and I love saving them. And we need all the Doggy Avengers to unite together to get the job done. So please welcome to my show today a fellow Doggy Avenger calling us in from Durango. Hello, Alana.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for being here today. You wrote a book about the dog that you saved. So we're going to get into Taki in a second. But let's talk about the fact that you're in Durango. I went to school at Fort Lewis. How cool is that?
Yes, I heard that. I was so surprised. That's awesome.
So you work at the Durango Vet Clinic in Durango.
Yes, I work at one of the clinics in Durango. Yes.
I love that. And you've been a vet tech for how many years?
29 years.
29 years, yeah.
Mhm.
And now you're going to school to get your like a clinical psychology degree to help with the book writing, right? You're going to keep doing
Ye-
this.
I'm definitely going to keep doing it. I am in getting my PhD in clinical psychology as well. I'm really focusing on mental health for grief, but also for veterinary mental health.
Yes, because so I still work with the rescues a lot, Elena, and it can be very frustrating and hard to see the struggle and all of that. And so, is that where you're talking about the mental health part for veterinarians?
Yes, absolutely. Animal care professionals in general, especially shelter medicine and rescues, we really see a very high increase of anxiety, depression, what we call compassion fatigue, because there's so much animal suffering and there's limited resources in rescues. And even in the veterinary field, we're also dealing with a lot of one on one with humans being sad and upset about either their animal suffering or in general animal suffering. So,
Yeah, it is a very hard world in the animal world. It's a hard world to just be an owner, to love them, and to keep their health going. All of that can get expensive, and the other side of that world is the people like you with the big hearts and the compassion that are there picking up the pieces when a dog gets dropped off, or a litter. Something is wrong with one of the puppies in the litter, something like that. So that leads us to Taki, your dog.
yes,
Yes.
yes, that's
Let's
what happened.
That's what
Taki
happened.
came in. He was 4 hours old when my friend, we've become friends now, the breeder brought him in. Very concerned because he had a bilateral cleft palate, which makes it very, very difficult for those puppies to latch on to their mothers and nurse. So they have to be specially fed through different tubes and different bottle tips and stuff. You can't and it's just like being a mom all over again, right? Like every
Yeah.
couple hours you're up, you're feeding, you're stimulating their area back there to, use the bathroom and stuff. And then keeping them warm and safe. It's just a lot of extra work, but it's great. I love it.
What made you want to take Taki in? I mean, you hear there's a puppy that's 4 hours old. Let's be honest. I'm sure that puppy was going to be euthanized. What made you save the puppy?
I'm just a big advocate of like giving things a chance.
We all are. Second chance. I love it.
I thought, well, if she would allow me to, adopt this puppy from her, if she would give me a chance to, try to save it. She was devastated and heartbroken, and all the emotions that go along with that decision, because that's just such a huge decision to have to make. Euthanizing something else that has a life. So
Yeah.
since I thought, well, he survived this far, let's try to give him a chance. And she gave me that opportunity. So grateful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Elena, I love deaf dogs. I adopt deaf dogs. I always have a deaf dog circling through. And when I tell people I have a deaf dog, they're like, oh, because he's old. And I'm like, no, he was born that way. I don't think people understand that dogs can be born deaf or blind or with a cleft lip or, heart issues. They don't understand. They just think a dog's a dog. It's just a breed, whatever it's mixed with. But that's not the case. I mean, these are living, breathing things that anything can go wrong. And that's
Mhm.
why they're suffering everywhere. Can you talk about what you see?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Animals are born with all the same kind of congenital diseases that humans are born with. I myself just adopted a deaf puppy. She's
Yay!
she's a little Aussie, just like Taki was. Her name's Cricket. She's a
Yay!
But yes, they are born with congenital diseases. Taki also had a hole in his heart. So, as we know, many people are born with holes in their heart. Oftentimes, just like with people, they will and can close up depending on the location of where that is. And sometimes animals are born with that cleft palate. They're born with a lot of different things. They're born deaf, vision impaired, kidney disease. I have a kitten now that I just adopted. She's congenital hypothyroid, which is very unusual. So yeah, it's just, and then there's veterinary specialists out there
Yeah.
that treat these specific, just like with humans. So
That's what I love. That's where we're going next. So, one of the reasons why you wrote the book is because of how the outpouring of specialists and help that you got, you figured now I need to pour this into the book so that the book can help remind people about, who's out there in our community and how we can get help. Talk about how that happened, the specialists in the book. Let's talk about it.
yeah, I was just starting to share Taki's story on Facebook because I really wanted to make people aware and educate people on the different disabilities that animals can have. And he like gained this massive following, and
Because
people
he's
just
cute.
started,
Because
yes,
he's cute.
yes. And then I started posting videos of him growing and getting bigger. And when it came time for him to see a specialist at CSU, like so many people donated to that account so that he could see the cardiologist and the dental specialist at CSU. And they were amazing at CSU Veterinary Teaching Hospital. The individualized specialty care that we received made us feel like we were the only people there.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They're awesome there.
When I think about you mentioned the cleft lip. So when they're a puppy, obviously the sucking that could, they could not get their nutrients and they could die. As they get older, I guess it involves their teeth growing in. I mean, can he survive with a cleft lip, or does a cleft lip always need to be fixed?
It depends. It depends on the severity, just like with humans. Some people need surgery, some people don't, depending. He didn't necessarily need surgery. His palate was pretty formed on the top as he got older, and filled in. It was a big concern when he was a puppy, and we were tube feeding him.
Yeah.
So they don't have aspiration issues, which then can go in their lungs and cause all sorts of extra additional issues. And that's the biggest concern with those type of puppies. So when the specialists look at him at CSU, they said they didn't think so, but he definitely had real crazy teeth. So
mouth going on.
yeah. Yeah.
But it's still a happy, healthy, wonderful dog once they were able to help him.
Yes, he did amazing. We were really lucky. He did really well. He ended up being able to eat normally and play with toys and do all the fun things and cause trouble like puppies do.
Yes, and then so Taki's the story of the book.
Yeah.
Taki, the brave little, what is it?
Brave little warrior.
Yes, the brave little warrior. Tell me, the book is about just his life, his story, right? And how cute and funny and bouncy and we all can be. Just believe in yourself, right?
Exactly. It's just about a puppy with disabilities that showed everyone that courage and hope and bravery can overcome all of that.
And that kind of is a message that you're hoping people will get from the book for themselves, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really hoping that people use this as a teaching tool for their children, their grandchildren, teachers, get it in the schools, get it in the libraries, just to help really form that vision and acceptance and kindness, not only for yourself, because that's an issue too, right? Like accepting yourself for who you are and the challenges that you may have to face versus somebody who doesn't have that. But then on the other side, like looking on the outside, like being able to accept people and know that they're no different than we are, and they have all the same feelings, emotions, hopes, dreams that everybody else does.
Yes, yes. And Taki, the brave little warrior. I'm sure every dog he met loved him. I'm sure everybody.
Oh, yeah.
So the book is available still on Amazon.com.
Mm-hmm.
You just had a big party, a little release party here in Denver. That was really cool. And congratulations. And you were at the Lucky Mutt. And I just want to tell everybody in Denver, if you're a doggy avenger, go to the Lucky Mutt in Littleton because they allow you to put pictures of your mutt up.
Yes.
And it was so cool. They gave you money, and there is a fundraiser, and the money goes where?
So we are going to put the money towards his some of the proceeds from that ebook to the CSU Teaching Hospital. They have a lot of different types of companion funds so that other people can help. I'm going to donate it specifically to the cardiology department so
Yeah.
that we can help other people that have juvenile puppies come in with cardiac issues so that they can get seen by those specialists as well.
That's really great. That's a really great fund. A little angel fund, hoping helping people with their animals. What?
Yes.
Tell me about Taki, the brave little warrior. When you were going through all of that, I mean, it has to get costly. That's the reason why a lot of people surrender their animals, or those
Mhm.
animals get put down. People don't even give themselves medical care.
Right.
And so I'm sure that, so talk about that, about what you went through, all those different decisions you made to continue keeping him.
Absolutely. We didn't know about his hole in his heart till his first vaccine appointment. We thought he just had cleft palate. And then after the doctor where I was working was doing his vaccines, she said, "Hey, Elena, I hate to tell you this, but he has a heart murmur and it's pretty significant."
Uh,
It was heartbreaking. And so we did. I'm very lucky because I have resources being in the veterinary field, a lot of great friends that helped me take care of him in Telluride and in Durango. And so we were able to do a workup on him. And the doctor was like, "You know what? You really should go to CSU and see a specialist and see if he can have surgery, because they will do open heart surgery on animals as well."
yeah.
And so when we went to CSU, they were great. They did an echocardiogram, they did ECG, X-rays, all that kind of stuff. And they determined that we were going to watch it to see if it closed. And if it didn't, at that time, we would address the fact that if it was causing any other issues, if he was stable enough, then potentially do surgery. So that's where we ended that conversation at CSU. And yeah, so we'll
And
see.
thank goodness that was the end of the conversation. It
Yeah.
closed up. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
My daughter also had a hole in her heart, and it
Oh,
closed up.
really?
Yeah, it can happen. And so by 9 months, thank goodness it closed up. So I'm glad. I'm glad that that Taki got that win.
Yeah, yeah, he did.
No, we're speaking today with Alana. She wrote a book, Taki, the Brave Little Warrior. Taki was an Aussie Shepherd that was born with a cleft lip, a disability. So many animals are born with disabilities. And are they the lucky ones that get saved? That's kind of what it comes down to. And it's heartbreaking. And real fast before I let you go, Alana, I do want to talk to you about an article I was just reading that for a while after COVID, there was like no animals available.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden now, if people were to open their eyes, they would see that all of the shelters are overflowing,
Mhm.
that there are way too many animals out there. You just mentioned in our 15 minutes, 3 different animals you've adopted. So please, if you could, please, I mean, like, I'm always trying to get spay and neuter messages out there, but
Mhm.
please tell everybody the reality that you are seeing on the on the animal world with the vet services and the shelters.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Do we have another hour or two?
I
So,
know. It's heartbreaking.
it's heartbreaking. The shelters and the rescues are overwhelmed. I've actually seen a lot of shelters and rescues close. The funding isn't there. People aren't volunteering. Please, please volunteer at your local
Yes.
animal shelter and your rescue. Please foster. If you can't or aren't able to like actually own your own pet and be a pet parent, pet advocate, consider fostering so that that opens up another space for another animal. And then of course spay and neutering, huge.
Huge.
That's big. And the veterinarians are overwhelmed. We're very short in our veterinary services. There's just a lack because of COVID. Many vets closed
Hmm.
and just said no, we're not going to do this. So it left a big space for care as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think really important is Make sure your pets are spayed and neutered, volunteer if you can, donate during the holidays, but not just holidays, but all through the year. Shelter animals need to be fed every day, just like people. So
Yeah.
they run out of food and supplies. It is an overwhelming task. And like I said, people that are doing this, the compassion fatigue, and the mass amount of anxiety and depression that these workers are facing watching animals suffer on a regular basis is huge. So please be kind to those rescue workers and your veterinarian workers.
Amen. Amen. It is huge. I had to stop doing it because it was so painful to see dogs being returned because or owners moving and they didn't think the dog was part of their family, or it's now old and they don't want it anymore. Like the stories you hear, the things you see, and you're on the vet side. So you're seeing health issues come in as well, and so it's just heartbreaking. So I agree with everything Elena just said. Please get your animals spay and neutered. We have Spay Today here in Denver. It's the low-cost animal clinic. It's great. They do vaccinations. And if you can, volunteer where you can because they're overflowing. They have fatigue, and they sure would love a couple of hours to have their own space if you could help them.
Really?
Elena, before I leave you today, now Taki's book is online at Amazon.com. But before I leave you, are there any last messages you want to tell everybody about life in general and disabilities and acceptance?
Yeah, absolutely. Teach your kids acceptance, love, kindness, compassion, not only for animals, but for people too.
Yeah. That was so simple and short. We can make it a bumper sticker.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
easy. So easy. Elena, thank you so much for joining us today. I know you got to get back to work. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Have a great time in Durango, and I hope you get a lot more snow than we do this year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.